Shakespeare is not only an example of a great man that created magnificent books. His stories transmit so much more than what you might think about culture, love, among others. In this essay, I will be focusing on the play Taming of the Shrew and how it does not say it literally, but it can be predicted from your understanding when you are reading it. However, if we adopt feminist interpretation, in the play there are many clues that demonstrate that Catherine is a woman who is very intelligent and is not afraid to assert her point of view under any given situation. To begin with, William Shakespeare and his plays might be the most studied subject in literature. Although Shakespeare lived and died hundreds of years ago, people still read his writings and act the performance. If you pay really close attention to what Shakespeare implied on what he wrote, you will notice how in each one of them it has a message at the end of the story. Also, he was considered for being a feminist at the time, and in Taming of the Shrew, it is very clear because it relates the story of two sisters which are Bianca and Catherine. People use notorious temper to describe the rebellious Catherine, while on the contrary, the obedient Bianca conforms to the custom of society and people's gender stereotype. In addition, Shakespeare's stories have been connecting with people in such a magical way throughout centuries, based on their diverse interpretation of the reading, which teaches a lot of things in general, somehow giving us a little bit of his knowledge and remembering that his legacy is still alive. Along with, Catherine is a character who initially speaks her mind. She's strong, witty, and is more intelligent than many of her male counterparts. This can be admired by a female readership. Her sister, Bianca, is desired by men because of her docility and beauty. Unfortunately, it appears that Catherine wants to emulate her sister and eventually becomes even less willing than Bianca to challenge the men in her life as a result. Feisty, outspoken, opinionated Catherine was a problem to be solved in this play. We might infer that Bianca's subjectivity and identity is based on being suited by men or having a relationship with men, therefore she still lives under male domination. As for Catherine, she's a modern woman at the time and independent of men. Shakespeare was demonstrating the way in which women are beaten down. Petruchio is not a likable character. He agrees to marry Catherine for the money and treats her badly throughout. An audience sympathy is not with him. An audience may admire Petruchio's arrogance and tenacity, but we're also very aware of his brutality. Furthermore, women that live in America are very blessed if they are compared with how women were treated back then, and in many countries all around the world, it is still happening. Back then, women were not treated the way that they deserve for all that they do and contribute to society. In Shakespeare's times, women did not have rights, and it is very brilliant to see how he used a story like Taming of the Shrew to describe the situation that was taking place at the time. In the story, it is even more implicit when it shows the personality of the two sisters and how they were different one from each other. Bianca gave up on herself by doing what every other woman did at the time period, while Catherine somehow tries to fight for women's rights by not giving herself down. It was impossible to not depend on any man. At one point, you will get married. Today, in some countries, there are still feminist clubs or organizations that fight every day for women to have equal rights and the same opportunities. Women that live in the US are very lucky to enjoy of those rights for which people have been fighting from a long time ago. In conclusion, Shakespeare implied a lot of feminists in his books in order for people to realize how things should change for the best and more women fight for their rights. In the case of Catherine, she pretends to comply with Petruchio so as to get what she wants. At the end, Catherine addresses her speech to show her faith to her husband by saying, "Thy husband is thy Lord, thy life, thy keeper, thy head, thy sovereign." Catherine said all of this as a part of her strategy in order to get, in fact, what she wants from society. It would be nice to create a new version of Taming of the Shrew in which Catherine rejects Petruchio's marriage proposal or decides to get the divorce after marrying Petruchio. This will empower even more women's rights by using this play as an example for feminist protest.